Quick introduction, guys. So we're Scott and Scott. I think the Scots were taken yesterday, right?
Yeah, we're the CX Scots.
We're the CX Scots.
Tinka and Evers are the Scots.
Yeah.
We're not that.
There's like a ton of Scots at Bridgepointe. If you didn't know that already, if you don't remember someone's name, just try Scott, and it would be mostly correct. Brader and I have been doing this for a long time. We used to be PPT solutions, people process technologies. For the longest time, we do sales pitches and all this sort of thing. Essentially, I'm the people process, he's the technology side, and together we kind of make that work as we've tried. So it's great to talk to you guys today. We're excited to be here. It is a topic kind of to the PPT kind of perspective and brand. CX is not just about technology. It's about everything, right? It's about all those things working together and working well together. And again, we'd like to talk to you a bit about that today, and hopefully it's informative and you get something out of it. So I'm going to give it to you, Scott.
You want to click here over here? All right. So I'm a firm believer in visuals as part of learning. I think it's what my wife tells me that I need flashcards to learn anything. How many of you, when you go in and you sell any kind of CX solution, you're talking about, especially on the front of the cloud thing, right? Oh my gosh, it's modern, it's fast, it's elegant. It looks like this, right? That's the vision that you're giving to your prospect, right? Here's what often happens. What happens if you don't do the people on the process side and you take what they were doing in their Avaya platform and drop it into any modern CCAS platform, you get a dog cheetah drinking beer, whatever that is, okay? And I can't tell you the number of times, and by the way, who here has sold a deal that went from one CCAS provider to another? Went from dial-up? Okay. There's not that much difference in these platforms, folks, right? There's not that much huge differentiation in these platforms. There is, but it's not so much that somebody should move in one for another unless they built this thing. So, why is people and process essential? So, when Rockwell invented the ACD in the 1970s, ever since that time, we've been trying to solve 4 problems, right? It doesn't matter if it was premise, it doesn't matter if it's CCAS, it doesn't matter if it's using AI today.
Scott, it doesn't even matter if it's like CX. I mean, these are the things for like business in general, right?
Exactly. Decrease costs, increase revenue, improve customer satisfaction, improve agent satisfaction. So decrease costs. These are all of the kind of things when you're having conversations. You don't want to be having conversations about features and functionality looking at the platform. You want to be saying, are you trying to reduce your average handle time? That drops their OpEx, your idle time, that puts time off the phone. What are the agents doing, right? If you get them doing more productive things, next thing you know, you need less agents, right? Cutting operational overhead, lowering technology maintenance costs. You guys are all great at that. Right, that's the conversation that strategists have all day long, all around technology costs. And then first contact resolution. If you solve the problem the first time, people don't call back in, you need less agents, right? The reason this is important is all you guys sell technology. In the contact center, only 20 to 30% of the spend is technology. The other 70 to 80% is the people, right? You solve the people in the process thing, and you do a lot for them.
Just to highlight something.
Yeah.
I think you already said it, but these are the same problems for the decades that Scott mentioned, with the important, regardless of the technology that was available at the time. It doesn't matter what the technology is,
right? You're still trying to solve those problems with the AI stuff today. Increase revenue. This can probably relate to every strategist out here. This is what you're trying to do with your customers, are you not? You're cross-selling and upselling. A lot of stuff I saw from Sterl's presentation earlier, right? You're identifying, engaging people with high intent. Reducing customer return. You want to make sure that when somebody's contract expiring, you're there to help them with the new one, right? Personalizing interactions and leveraging proactive outreach. That doesn't matter if that's you and your business as strategist. Contact centers are trying to do the same thing, and they're looking for you to help them solve it. Customer satisfaction. There's a whole lot of different things on here. The bottom line is the happier company has with the customers with the company, the more likely that customer is to stay with them, the more likely it is to promote them, and there's all kinds of metrics around it. From a technology perspective, you're looking at omni-channel consistency. A lot of you are probably out selling omni-channel. Customer effort, and you've read a book, there's a book about 15 years ago about customer effort. It gets into the fact that it's easier for a customer to do something, the more likely they are to be happy. And then lastly, agent satisfaction. This gets back into that 70 to 80% rule, right? Anybody out there, actually, there's some of you I know the answer to this, by text I know will know this. What is the average turnover, agent turnover in contact center today? And we have a guest.
So
Anywhere, and the best ones, you probably know this better than me, maybe 20% annually. The worst one's 100 or more.
For sure.
Right.
101.
Yep, 100 or more. Why is that? Why is that important? It costs an average of $7,000 for them to recruit and hire and train one agent. For every agent that stays, that's $7,000 that they save.
We had a BPO discussion earlier. We talked about what it actually costs to run an internal contact center. This is massive. And again, why BPO, why whatever? I mean, you got to focus on this. It's a big part of your cost.
So you think about now all the stuff that you're out here selling around agent assist technology, right? What is that doing? It's making it easier for the agent. It's making them happier in the job. It's not only you solve the customer problem, but you reduce agent turnover at the same time.
Well, not to mention, and it's true. Like, if you got an agent smiling on the phone, this is not untrue. They'll probably be providing better service to your customer. You want them to be happy.
Now that, I think I'll jump over to you.
So someone told me a long time ago in presenting stuff, it's kind of like, so what, who cares? Like, why do we care about any of this? Why is operations important with technology and things like that? But it's, how can we help? Like, Bridgepointe CX exists to help you guys, to partner with you guys, to be a part of things. And we've created a palette of different products that we've got available to really help customers engage, you engage with customers, and really get involved and help solve the problems that they have today that Scott just went through. This is kind of a busy chart, and we had this in here last year for those of you who could make it. But this is the products that we have and how to think about it from how to engage customers. Like it's a funnel. Everything's a funnel. We're career consultants. We have to have a funnel slide every day. But if you think about the far left side of this, it's really an unidentified CX opportunity, right? CX is hard to sell unless a customer has an issue, right? If they have an issue, it's easy. Like you just go right to the solution. And we love that stuff, right? But if you're trying to talk to your customer base, you're trying to understand what they need, we start very broad and we work down to very small. And as we go through these, and I'll kind of highlight, we're going to go through 3 different use cases or case studies of some of these things and how they work with customers and how they help customers in just a minute. But just to go through what we have here, like number 1 here is what we call a CX performance assessment and transformation workshop. The customer may not even know that they've got a problem, right? They just may want to understand, like, how am I doing versus someone else? It's a great thing to sell it up. You kind of move into, we can do a best practices assessment. So like, how do I compare it against others in my in my industry? How do I do it? Am I doing a good job? Am I not doing a good job? What parts do I need to focus on? A transformation workshop from a CX perspective. Down the middle, you see 4, 5, 6, and 7, a cloud rapid assessment. So, I'm on-prem, or I'm on one CCaaS platform, I'm not getting out of it what I need to. Can you help me? Do I need to do something different? Maybe I don't, right? It's just, these are questions that are being asked. BPO, we talked about BPO again earlier today. Dave and I had a great workshop in here. Could it help me? Is it right for me? Just again, things to get in front of your customers, triggers to look for. AI, Kinka mentioned earlier, we've got some slides at the end of this. We're launching an AI practice today. What is it? What can I do to help? Where should I focus my business? CRM, and then all the way to the number 8 out there is, again, they know what's wrong. The customer knows what's wrong. They need help with something specific. Maybe they need an implementation. Maybe they need managed services. Again, these are just a range of different things that Bridgepointe CX can help with. As I mentioned, wanted to highlight a few of these though. Like it's great to see these words up here, but in practical purposes, how can this be used with a customer? How can it help? And how can it importantly create more revenue for you, more value for the customer, and so on and so forth. So we're going to highlight CX performance assessment. So again, this is kind of a best practices assessment, our cloud rapid assessment, BPO. And again, we'll probably move through these fairly quickly, but we'd love to get questions and make this as quick as
So real quickly, who of the strategists here in the room, who knows that these are offers that you can sell that cost between $5,000 and $25,000? There's a pre-made SOW that you can put in front of your customer and have them sign it. Who knows that exists? About 3 or 4 people. That's a problem. We got to solve that.
Yeah.
Nick knows.
Yeah, I think just one other thing. I think, and I don't mean to interrupt. I think the most important thing is this allows you to engage in the CX practice at any point in their contract. As agents, right, as sellers, we've always had to wait till it's coming up, the term, we're getting ready to make a change. This allows us to control that change. This allows you, if they have a call center, they have a contact center, we can be engaged that day, that call, and start the process for them. So this is huge for us because We haven't done it traditionally, right? It's been a PPT thing, not an agency thing. So this is huge, and we've seen a lot of success starting those conversations.
And importantly, Nick, and the Bridgepointe too, right? I mean, these aren't expensive products, right? It is important from our standpoint, we found, right? To make sure the customer has some skin in the game. If they're using some of these services, it's good to make sure that they're putting something for it, even if it's a $5,000 investment. They're engaged in these sorts of things, but it gets us in the door. In fact, last year we called these get in the door products, right? Because once we're in, we got a slide coming up later, and we're going to sell a whole bunch of stuff to them while adding a bunch of value. So it's a great point, Nick. Thank you for that. So if we can, we're going to go through 3 case studies. Again, the CX performance assessment, kind of AKA best practices. We're going to talk to you about a customer ESPN that went through our cloud rapid assessment, how we added value there, and kind of what's happened after that, and then also the BPO side. So hopefully this is helpful. We're going to show a few artifacts too, just to show you the professional output that they get. We consider ourselves Big Four consultants, or we're not, but we believe our output and our counsel is at that level. So hopefully you see some of that. First one I'll talk about, and then this is a word wall, so to completely understand it, we'll make sure that the materials are available, you can read later. But this is, you can see the logo in the bottom left corner, this is Intuit. So obviously a major global brand, 65,000 seats globally, so from a CX perspective, so very, very large, very big. They had a new leader come in, his name is David Graham, wonderful gentleman, understands the space really well, came from Amazon. And he got there, and they do this stuff really, really well, right? Intuit invests in this, they do it well. And his question was, how are we doing? I don't think we're doing great. It was literally from his mouth. So he asked us to come in and do what we call maturity model assessment, kind of the best practices assessment. The team spent about 90 days with them, maybe a little longer than that. Had an output of, I'm sure it's on there, 18 actionable items, and really created a roadmap for him to go on and start to tackle his CX related issues. Again, for him, it was a little more than 5,000 because just the size and scale. Same type of output that we produce for an Intuit, we produce for one of your customers doing this. And importantly, again, we give them a roadmap of what to do next. That roadmap of what to do next is comprised of a number of things, right? More services to help them implement these things, but also a whole bunch of potential recurring revenue, right? Whether it's WFM licenses or finding BPO or whatever the case may be. Again, these types of products, these types of engagements, get us into a customer. They know us, they trust us, we become trusted advisors, and it really allows them to advise moving forward.
From a revenue perspective to us, what was the first SOW, and then how many more have we done since?
Yeah, first SOW was around 300,000, so it was a big project, a big enterprise customer, right? I think we've signed 3 more. Look at 3. I think 3. You know, probably for another $500,000 to $600,000. And again, what's really exciting of us is, I can tell, they have disparate WFM. You know, there's no centralization to the WFM organization, and they're running 65,000 seats. So can you imagine what a centralized off-the-shelf workforce product might look like?
BPO, they're looking at BPO for half of it. So even if you did, say, 5,000 BPO seats, you're looking at gross commissions over $100,000 a month.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Workforce management.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're running a workforce or labor force of that size without the technology and the capability is challenging. I'm not sure how to say. And these guys do it really, really well, right? I mean, they know what they're doing. But at the end of the day, even as well as they do it, they still need CX expertise. Got a couple of, by the way, there's a case study on the signal for all of these, I think.
Yep.
A couple of artifacts in the room, but this is our best practices engagement. I love this slide. I promise not to drain all of these things, but we put this in every deck that we do a customer like this. You know, our most commonly heard phrase when we talk to any customer is, we're different from everyone else because ... whatever it is. Like, we're different, we do it different, our culture is different, our agents are different, our subject matter is too complicated for anyone else. But again, what we try to teach customers is, yeah, you're gonna have differences, but generally speaking, you should look at best practices. You should understand what they are. And you don't have to go down that path, but you should. It's a compelling conversation. You should at least consider differences from the way you do things to others, and it might be telling, it might inform you some things. So, this is just our engagement approach. These are the types of things that would be involved in a proposal to a customer on this. I'm not going to go through these and how we go through the process, but again, we'd love to talk to you guys about these things. Again, big or small, customers go through the same process. They get the same types of output, and importantly, they get the same type of results. Again, our best practice is maturity methodology. Just to kind of show you what's on the slide here a little bit, we've got, and it depends a little bit upon the customer, kind of what vertical they're in, but they generally will go through like a 6-dimension kind of approach with 36 subdimensions. And you can see the bottom left, that's kind of an as is. So when we get done with one of these things, we light this thing up from really red to colors up to green. And then a customer can kind of see how they're performing against industry best practices. And then we can show how if you implement certain strategies, at 6 months, it gets better. At 12 months, it gets better. And importantly, there's a cost-benefit analysis behind that to help them understand the value that it'll give them both financially, from a customer perspective, all those sorts of things. So,
And the other reason that chart looks like that is because C-level executives, they love color charts like that. And if you like show them colors from one end to the other and give them a timeline, they then employ you
right.
for that period of time to achieve those results and measure it. That's consulting 101.
Yep, that's right. 100% right. A couple of other things in here, guys. We'll just kind of move through these quickly. But again, what we want to kind of impose upon you guys is customers do react to these things. There's tremendous value included in them. And again, the professional output that they get is it really helps move the needle. From Intuit's perspective, the 18-item roadmap that we gave them is being actively implemented by us and them internally with our guidance to really take them to where they want to be, and it's transformation is the word that they use. So again, this is available. We'll scale it to your customer. It's something that can really help move the needle. Scott, you want to talk about the next one?
All right, I'm up. All right, ESPN. Some of you may have heard about Disney streaming services. That's one of our biggest, success stories by far. A long-time customer. If you think about Disney, the family, the outlet for brands, ESPN is one of them, right? So when we engage with Disney streaming services, we help them to pick a CCaaS platform ultimately to deploy for them. They did a reorganization where they moved ESPN and some of their sub-brands up underneath the master brand. Well, what that meant was her customer, unfortunately, had to move to the platform of choice, which wasn't what was on. So you might imagine that ESPN sees us as the bad guy, right? We're the bad guy, we're making a move off what they love. But because of the people and process side of things, when we moved them over, we actually redid their IVR design to drive down, and there's a whole case study on this, and you can actually look at customer video testimonial. They do the monthly pay-per-view events, right, for UFC, and we literally drove down their agent needs by 30% when they had those things. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings. So what happened when, next thing you know, maybe 2 years down the road, they were told, hey, ESPN, we're going to spin you out. They're coming out with their own streaming channel with NBC and a couple other people. You can go find your own platform. We were now the good guys. They came to us and said, help us find that platform, right? So that's the people and process side of things that ultimately drive those kind of relationships where you take something moving from one technology platform to the other, but you solve the people and process problems and you get rid of that duck, dog, leopard, drinking beer.
With the beer.
Yes. Bricks business transformation, the only important thing for you to remember about this slide is, a lot of you do the analysis and planning phase on your own. You're going in, you've got an RFP template, you gather some requirements, so usually feature and functionality based, not business outcome based, which is what we do. And then ultimately you hand it over to whoever the chosen vendor is to do the validation and cloud migration phase. The organizational change phase does not get done by your CCaaS provider partners implementation services. The outcome is often the duck, dog, leopard drinking beer, right? That's what we do. We help them reorganize organization. We help them redefine who's going to do what in the CCaaS world, and we help them build new processes to make sure that you're operating the platform as it was intended. There's a lot of different CCaaS vendors here in the room, and they can test you. They're, and this is not a knock on them. They are motivated to get SaaS revenue flowing, right? Their implementation team does the best job they can under the timelines they're in. Unfortunately, sometimes CCaaS providers see us as the enemy of that because we are willing to slow down a customer to make sure they do it right, right? So that's the difference in engaging our folks. The rapid assessment approach, again, I'll skip these really quickly. Current state understanding, so it's not just doing what you do, is have requirements gathering session. We actually have a list of documents we have them send, and we intake as much as we can before we talk to them so we can actually spend 1 or 2 days with them with having conversations from a position of knowledge, right? Versus just going in and asking a lot of questions about their business. You capture their current platform requirements, future state requirements. This is what we call the basically shortened RFP process. We say, you pay us to do this, you pay us $10,000, $15,000, but you're only going to work with our suppliers too. So not only are we making money on the front end, you're guaranteed to make money on the back end because you're only working with your suppliers. They're getting a better output, right? So ultimately, you pick which one it is for them, and then you ultimately do the contract. And then in that model, more often than not, since we deliver services and motion, we're actually doing the implementation. So as strategist, you're also getting paid on the implementation. Oftentimes, $100,000 to $150,000, you're getting paid on that as well. Most CCAS providers don't pay on the implementation. Just an example, timeline, bottom line is we can usually do this in roughly 5 weeks from start to finish. We ingest all the information. From the time we started, we can have them actually, have a supplier picked around week 6 and then help them through the contracting process. And again, all this is the same kind of stuff you do at a different level. It's templated, and you actually get a better relationship with the customer because anytime an executive's paying for something, they're very interested, right? Just an example of requirements. Again, there's all kinds of templates. As Scott mentioned earlier, right, this just kind of shows you an example of what some requirements, and then also in a UCAS. So a lot of times, a lot of you guys probably are out there in market day, you're seeing a lot of this mid-market stuff where customers wanting both UCAS and CCAS at the same time, either from the single provider or a combination of CCAS provider and a UCAS partner. So we also do the UCAS stuff, all the same stuff I'm telling you, as long as it's tied to a CCAS opportunity, right? Typically, UCAS, there's not a lot of opportunity in UCAS consulting because it's very basic and fundamental, right? Changing a little bit with AI, but it's still very fundamental. And then lastly, again, this is just an example of some of the consulting outputs you kind of see. So not only do we do the matrix, we provide executive level slides that help them understand what it is that they should do. I noticed Genesis 5.9 looking at the slide. That might impact you for BPO.
Any questions? Next, sir. Regarding that level of detail, I mean, does it have to be an ESPN, Disney? I mean, where would you say, we can expect engagement? And not a 5K deal, but 10, 20. As far as if we want to get that thorough as far as the strengths and challenges and the matrix and things like that, where would we want to be from an MRR perspective?
Because some of what you're showing isn't a revenue assessment.
Yeah. It's from that. I would look at it as MRR. I mean, I look at it seek out complexity. So here's the rule of thumb that I use, right? I call it the 10% rule, right? So if a customer's spending $1 million a year on their existing technology in the contact center, they've probably got $100,000 of variable cost they're willing to spend on consulting that they're confident. So if the customer's only spending $100,000 a year, maybe they do have, $8,000, $7,000, whatever the math is there to do it. So it's really based upon what their current technology spend is and the complexity, not so much what the MRR is going to be on the output.
Cool. Yeah, I just want to make sure we all know how to qualify and how for questions.
I've got a question. Do you have any past experiences where the client was actually trying to improve the customer experience for its own employees? Meaning, let's say it's an organization that has a lot of employees and, just they all have questions, whether it's I need my W-2 taxes or I need to file a harassment complaint, whatever the case is, and you're creating a CX platform to handle internal issues where it's not necessarily customer facing, but it's to help them manage their own.
I don't think that's tough. I mean, it's a common, for example, when we deal with big multinationals, there's some of them, 10, 15, 20,000 seats. Often one of the user groups is going to be an internal compliance group. I think Disney actually has that, yeah. Right? There's literally a phone number if you think anybody's disparaging Disney, if a vendor's out here disparaging Disney, think about them, you can actually call a hotline, right? So yes, so from that perspective, oftentimes there are groups either around HR, compliance, security, that are user groups. It's part of the overall thing.
This is just a great example. Like, remember, like number 8, like all the way to the right of the funnel, like when it got really defined. Like, we had a customer, it's McAfee's deal back in the back, but it's a healthcare company, and they're having basically major attrition issues, right? There's some issue or issues within their employee base that's causing attrition.
Right.
And they don't know if it's in the top of the funnel when they're recruiting, or sometimes in the 90-day to path to proficiency, or whatever the case may be. But they're looking to figure that out. So we're doing essentially what I would call an attrition optimization kind of project. And it's very custom, it's very specific, but it's well within our swing zone, right? Because we're collecting information, we're understanding people, process, technology side of things. So that's just a great example of like a custom solution that we can help a customer with kind of in that way. So hopefully it's helpful.
No, it is.
So guys, we talked to you a little bit about what we call best practices, or kind of a benchmark analysis so far. Scott's talked to you about what a cloud rapid assessment can look like. I think to Parker's point a little bit, like we do provide high quality outputs even on a $5,000 engagement. So again, it really is attractive. We created templates to be able to do that quickly and effectively for customers. The last one is around BPOing, and we're just calling out a few that we think would be interesting to you. We talked about this in an earlier workshop, if you guys were included in it with McAfee. But just around BPO, massive opportunity. We talked about that already. But wanted to just highlight a customer, a really neat customer, JW Pepper. That's who they are. They're kind of a sheet music company. It's great, like the sheet music that you play your instruments to and things like that. Family owned. I said this in the earlier session. Like outsourcing was a bad word for them. Literally a bad word. They didn't want it. The family owned. They would never do it. But they had attrition issues, all kinds of problems, right? And they did an assessment with us. They did it, they understood it, back to the people and the process side of things. We understood what the pain points were. We understood what was driving the issue. We understood their requirements, who they were as a business, and essentially helped them get to a BPO provider. To this day, just kind of cutting to the chase, they're 100% outsourced at this point in time. They're experiencing phenomenal service levels, customer satisfaction is through the roof. And again, this is just helping them solve a problem is what it was. They weren't looking for a BPO, they were looking for a solution. And I think it's just a great example of that, having that happen. We've gone through our process, we talked about this a lot. It's very, very consulting oriented, right? Just like with the technology side, we always start with current state. We start with as is, we start with understanding pain points. We then move to kind of a future state. Sometimes we call it art of the future. We sit and we brainstorm, whether it's a CCAS application or an AI application or BPO or a myriad of other operational solutions that can help. We're in there in solution with a customer. From a BPO standpoint, we can develop and execute an RFP. We can get them right to a solution right away. But ultimately, we help them evaluate and make a decision and then ultimately deploy it. So again, you're going to see this kind of consistent. This is the services side of our business, but really importantly, leading to the recurring revenue, the stickiness of the customer, more services, and everything that's good for both the customer and for all of us. Just a couple of other artifacts that you'll have available to you, and some strategy stuff that we work on. So lots of information for you to kind of consume, lots of information here to look at. But again, we just wanted you to see the types of things your customer could be getting at the end of the day. Okay. All right. You can take that.
Yeah. Time check. We got 14 minutes talking everybody from a bar somewhere.
Yes.
So remember earlier when I had the earlier slides about the more common contact center problems that everybody's been trying to solve since the 1970s? A lot of these buying signals will map towards that, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, right? Jackson just told a story of somebody like when we did with Intuit, right? We're not sure if we're doing well, right? That's a performance assessment. It has nothing to do with technology. Even at the base level, there's a base workshop that can be sold to that, right? Performance benchmarking, the same kind of thing, but that's kind of more focused on your basic contact center SLAs, average handle time, abandons, things like that. Again, going in to find out, is your technology okay, or do you just not know how to run a call center, quite frankly? And I'll tell you what's interesting, and a lot of you guys sell in mid-market, you will find the worst contact centers generally are those ones that are 100 and 150 seats, because they can't afford the people that really know how to run them at the enterprise level. And the ones at the enterprise level, they're smart enough to outsource at least half of it because they don't even have to worry about it. They know it gets managed and run properly, right? CX Transformation Workshop, that's just around leveraging the technology to transform your business, and you can see more stuff coming about the AI side of that. And then the cloud applicability assessment, again, that's anybody that's in the premise thing today. It's really to kind of help them understand the journey in the cloud. That's for your customers that love their Avaya and will not let go of it, or they love their Cisco or their, whatever premise platform, you name it, they will not get go of it because they think it's, the price point is I can't do it. So you have conversations with them around business transformation and business value, not IT spend, right? That's what that's for. I think this is you, this one.
It is.
It's got the BPO stuff on it.
BPO. Yeah, we kind of talked about this on the JW Pepper case study, but kind of what to look for, right? And we talked about it earlier, like what are the buying signals and things to that end, but every customer is a candidate for BPO, right? We kind of said this, like, if you're doing it yourself, you probably shouldn't be as a customer. But we are looking for things like high attrition, high costs, concerns about this kind of overall customer experience. If you've got a BPO, are you happy with them, sort of thing? If you don't, why would you kind of take a look at that? So again, for this is kind of a $5,000 just quick assessment, right? We can help get a customer to one of our suppliers or customers really quickly. And again, really kind of add a lot of value. AI, we'll come back to at the end of this a little bit, but AI, everybody's wondering what to do. What is it? How do I use it? What are the use cases that I should use it in? Yeah, I want to cut costs. I want to improve overall CX. Again, this is something that they want to know, and if they just want to try to understand if it's right for them, again, a really quick entry point to be able to kind of get in the door and start to talk about that. CRM's the same way. And then number 8, again, just if they have a specific need, we can get people on this really quickly, help you understand it, help you solution it, help tell the customer how we can help. This is the kind of spot that we want to be. So, importantly, we just want to give you opportunities to engage with your customer, find things that they could be looking for. If they're not looking for something, ways to find it. And again, kind of get the CX team involved. We're here to help.
And again, with all these standard offers, come to whoever your CX partner is, right? To actually find out what they are. Again, these SOWs, it's really easy to sell all this stuff. So the importance of getting in the door, here's what's important. So if you actually start with a paid engagement, in other words, they paid you even as low as $5,000 to help them do some professional services thing where there's a delivery, 74% of the time, there's always a second professional services contract, and more than half of that time, there's an MRR tied to it, right? So it's how many times, you go out there, and I can't tell you what our ratio is internally, but I see literally hundreds of CCaaS opportunities registered, and they just die on the vine, right? If you bring us in, the opportunity moves forward, right? It absolutely moves forward because the consulting methodology drives it forward.
Our delivery team is paid to do this, right? They're expected to do this. Like if we're doing our job right, we're finding the next thing. And we're finding it organically. Like you guys are involved or you don't have to be involved, but we're finding the next thing because we're adding value to the customer at the end of the day. And the next thing, to Scott's point, half the time is recurring. Other times we're staying involved with more paid engagements. Again, customers want this and they're coming back to it because they see the value of it.
Again, real quickly, all this different stuff. I mean, you've probably seen a lot of this stuff before, but the bottom line is, we've got complete professional services we can implement, a lot of the market-leading platforms. Anytime you have a CCaaS opportunity, bring us in early, especially before you actually go to the CCaaS provider and ask them for pricing. If you go and ask them to deliver pricing, it's too late, because guess what? CCaaS providers really don't care about professional service pricing. As a matter of fact, I see a lot of them starting to give it away occasionally, right? They're after the SaaS revenue, right? We're not going to come in and price match something that's already bottom dollar. What we do is we come in and we sell them value, and they actually pay a premium for that, and they actually get a premium thing, and they don't get the dog thing drinking here. Managed services as well. Again, all these platforms got the ability to deliver managed services. The original vision around a CCaaS platform is it should be so easy to do that customers can actually do it a lot easier. Yes, that's true, but more and more, as with any kind of SaaS product, they're looking to companies to actually come in and help them actually manage it. And then again, this to go back to close ratio, this comes back to before we were required to work with Telarus, and Telarus actually looked at all the different metrics on every CCaaS opportunity they had registered across their entire 8,000 agent portfolio. Their close rate on registered opportunities across our portfolio was 17%. Ours was 82%, right? And that's again because of the methodology that we use. You get to the right people and it drives the business forward. So again, it doesn't matter how small it is. If it's too small, we'll tell you, right? And make us tell you it's too small. Force us to do that. All right, coming soon. So we are launched, yes.
Before you jump into the coming soon, you've glazed over, but I think it's because you're being a little bit humble. One of the things that is a differentiator for Bridgepointe CX is you eliminate the cost of doing nothing. I work for Genesis. Our enemy isn't NICE or 8x8 or Five9 or other folks in the room. Our enemy is doing nothing, man. And you do a great job of what is the cost of doing nothing with the customer and helping them understand that. And then they have to make a choice. It's compelling to make a choice. So I think that's something that you said without saying, but for folks that don't do CX every day, it's a huge differentiator of working with you in these consulting aspects.
It's a great point, right? Oftentimes when you guys have strategies, you've got, here's the current IT spend, here's the spend on the new platform. When we do consulting, we actually also do the cost of doing nothing. And it's not just, here's how it's going to cost you to upgrade what you got. It's here's the lost business efficiency, right? So next thing you know, they see the cost of doing the revenue numbers, whatever's are trending down, right? So again, that's one of the reasons that these things close. So what does AI look like in the AI contact center? You might imagine what's going to happen here coming up on this slide after seeing the dog one. But again, AI is such in its infancy. You heard talk about earlier today about the infotech folks, right? Everybody's talking about AI. Everybody's poking into it. CX is the leading adopted area for AI technology right now. We're actually coming out with a guide that is ready to go. It's published. You should see information come out next week. We've actually built a guide to actually help you, the strategists out there, to one, give you base level of education around AI, what it all means, all the different key terms, give you a lot of different use cases, not just in CX, but in other areas such as security or whatever, and how it plays well. We teach you about the persona of the person that you're actually trying to sell to and what their knowledge level is and how they take it in. And then we've also got actually prospecting questions in there for you to actually drive conversations to ultimately bring us in opportunities. So I think it's going to be a great piece of knowledge information for you guys. It'll roll out next week. So same kind of stuff applies though to AI as it did to the contact center, right? It's what is the people, what is the process, what are the right use cases? It's not run around as I'm going to point my knowledge base at ChatGPT and launch a bot, right? And anybody that's following what's happening in the AI space, you're seeing all kinds of legal things starting to happen, right? Somebody, an airline bot gave somebody a wrong fare. The person sued the airlines, they had to honor the fare, right? There's a lot of stuff happening in this space. So this is ultimately what you get. If you don't follow the methodology, I don't know how to describe this one yet. Ironically enough, I was actually using AI to generate this, and I wanted it to show drinking beer, and it said, sorry, due to my guardrails, I cannot promote the use of alcohol by a robot. So I told it to have a yellow cup of coffee with froth, and that's what we got. All right, and then this is you, my friend.
We'll wrap up here, guys, and any questions you have. But before we do, Scott Kinka kind of previewed this earlier today in the main stage pitch. Today we're launching our AI practice. We're excited about it. We're building artifacts. Scott mentioned on the left side the guide that we'll have available, and it's a great piece of work to understand what's happening, best practices, questions to be asking and thinking about. On the right side, we talk about a workshop that we're getting ready to release as well. And for our strategist community, what we want to do is we want to fill rooms with your customers so that we can talk to them about AI and really just a one-day kind of readiness or thought workshop for them to walk through, learn a lot, and come away from that thinking differently maybe about the opportunity that's there and how it can help them. So I'd like to kind of call out, they're both in the room, I wanted to make sure, but.
Real quickly.
Oh, sure, go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say, because Dave Texera, for those who don't know him, he runs events like this up in the Northeast. And, his events are more, along the lines of just industry type of things. What we're talking about is the type of event that you will bring your prospects and your existing customers, right, that are actually thinking about AI and how to use it specifically in the CX space, right? And it's a knowledge session for them, but really what it is, it's a lead generation session for you guys, right? It's to let your prospects understand that we're thought leaders in the space and ultimately drive opportunities for you. Because guess what? Every single one of them are getting 50 emails a week from AI providers saying, I can solve the world for you, right? And they don't know what to do. They're more than willing to get into a room and listen to somebody that they believe can tell them how it works.
Mr. David, sorry, a quick question before we wrap up.
something you guys had mentioned earlier. One, about on-prem people and indecision, right? How many people are still on-prem, right? And our ability to bring them that, what's the percentage of call centers still on-prem?
So it varies. There's kind of two different metrics out there. One is total seat count, and the other is number of customers, right? Right now, we're at the tipping point, supposedly, according to most of the major organizations, we're more than 50% by seat count now. The reason being is there's still BPOs that have hundreds of thousands of seats that are all sitting on premise. There's large banks that have hundreds of thousands of seats that are sitting on premise, right? By and large, the bulk of the SMB is already moved, significant portion of the mid-market, and more large enterprise, right? So it's the BPOs probably drive you may know that 15% of all seats, I think, globally are owned by BPOs. So there's 15% right there that is probably 90% on premises today, right? Just because they've got all the technical debt and they're staying on there. So we're at the tipping point, we're at the other end. What's the other thing that's interesting now too, is 3 years ago, and this is across all the different CCaaS providers I talked to, I sat on a lot of their advisory boards, is, they were saying that pretty much 90% of what they were doing was definitely taking out a premise platform. Only 10% was moving one cloud platform to another. Now it's between 20 and 25%. They're actually going after an existing cloud provider and taking something away because they built the duck thing. So.
And then a quick second part to that is, earlier you mentioned the stat about attrition. Do we see better attrition for cloud contact center customers with hybrid environments, the people component of it? And is that something we can position with your expertise?
That's actually a great question. You can have a long discussion about that. What's interesting enough, you guys are going to start recently about Amazon, right? Amazon's making all their employees come back, right? What happened during the pandemic, most contact centers, at a minimum went hybrid, and a lot of them for a short term had to go full home agent, right? Now they're at various points in between, and honestly, we see it business by business. It's based upon the metrics that they're seeing on attrition and what it takes for them to retain agents versus performance. The good news is they've had 4 years to figure out the home agent performance thing, so that's mostly solved now. When they sent everybody home during COVID, it was like sending a teenager off in the closet with a video game. They're going to play there all day. No one's watching them. No one's knowing what they're going to do, right? That's because the technology wasn't there to monitor remotely. So, case by case.
So guys, I know we need to wrap up here. Eager for any questions now or later, right? But at the bottom of this, if you're interested in any of this, right? If you're interested in any of the products that we talked about today, you got a upcoming implementation for one of your platforms, man. So just anything that we talked about today. Talks about a CX advisor down below. We're truly here to help. They're here with us. You've seen this maybe at least once already. I think Tim presented this last night. But generally speaking, if you're in the East, Mr. Eric right here, Eric might wave your hand, so this is him. He's here to help. And then Victor's in the back standing up in the West, kind of Mississippi West, if you will. And then you see across the bottom, like the rest of the CX team, and others are here for you guys. We're always eager to talk about a deal, jump into something, help you solution, brainstorm, whatever the case may be. So hopefully you got to learn a little bit more about what we do.
One thing real quickly, and again, just if you don't mind, Eric and Victor, just a 30-second infomercial on you guys' background so they understand the type of people they're dealing with if they engage you guys.
Great.
Yeah, so I actually was in the business, so I used to run customer experience for Citibank for a long time, so did that across 40,000 folks, 50 sites. In-sourced, outsourced BPOs, I've been to India, I've been to the Philippines. So done a lot of things that actually went to work for one of the suppliers. So I can kind of jump on any call with you guys, whatever you need, and we'll just kind of take it from there. So a lot of times they want people who have done some of the things that they're doing. So that's one of the things I think that we talk about in our CX practice is everyone that's in the CX practice actually sat in the CX customer. So yeah.
And by the way, Eric's attention to detail, his note taking, his follow-up, is like second to none.
And I'm Victor.
We'll see about this.
Victor. I'm Victor. I've been in the space for 13, 14 years. Worked in UCAS, worked at Salesforce, and also worked at Five9. So I have the whole gamut of what it looks like to be run through a sales cycle as a UCAS, CCAS customer, and then being on the consulting side as well. So sold small deals up to a couple thousand seat contact centers. So happy to work with you guys.
We got members of our really our PS and our consulting team here as well with us. We got Ryan and Ken and Bree and Sean, Tammy, Kevin's here. I knew you were here. I couldn't find you. But again, guys, we're excited. There's like 52 plus of us, and we want to help and help you solution. And happy to chat about this over a drink, whatever. So.
And I don't know how many of y'all used to work with service delivery people. I'll just tell you they're drink operated. So
Yeah,
if you
true as hell.
feed them stuff later, you'll get all
We'll
kinds
get
of
them a
knowledge.
special
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I think we went a couple minutes over, guys. Thank you. We know we had a lot of content.